When we say thanks for our daily starch, most South Africans know that we have to thank our potato farmers for the hard work that they do. We shouldn't just thank our farmers, we should also thank our researchers for the science that they put out on a daily basis. And that is why Plaas TV is currently at Potatoes SA's Research Symposium, where we are catching up on the latest developments in potato research. Come with me.
Thank you. I think the first thing is, if you just take the extent of all the information that we've received now, and all the research that has been done, it's a very complicated matter to actually bring it to a point where we've got one specific task at hand. But if I look at the major issue that I can see here is we've got more than 80 cultivars at the moment that's actually ready for the consumer to actually get access to. The issue is that there are perceptions with regards to the specific characteristics a consumer is looking for a potato. For us to break down that barriers and to reintroduce certain of these cultivars will actually give farmers a much better opportunity in terms of diversification on the choices of cultivars they can use to address their specific problems that they have on their farms.
I think what is very important for us and why we do our research is we really need to equip our farmers to be more efficient, and for our focus in research is really to help them address their challenges that they might have. So at the end of the day, it all goes down to affordable food, and to enable that, we need to make sure that our farmers stay farming, and for that they need to be more efficient, hence the reason for our research. And in the last day and a half, we've been giving the feedback of our latest research in our research symposium, where we looking at the theme, roots in the ground with the future in mind. And I think that really describes what we're trying to do. It's really to look at what do we have and how do we address future challenges that we might face, and so we can take it on with both hands. So yeah, I think there is a few things that do concern me, and it's maybe good to start with that. And the first one is the regulatory environment. There's a lot of new technology coming, but we need to get this approved and accredited in the right way. And this is becoming very, very difficult because it's new and one doesn't really always know how to approve it. So that would be the first challenge. I think the second one is the environmental challenges. There's a lot happening in Europe with, for example, the European Green Deal that's putting a lot of pressure on, for example, crop protection products. So we need to embrace this because we're losing a lot of tools that we used to use to manage pests and diseases in the past. So, and that's where our research also comes in. How do we find new ways of looking at key problems? So I think those are probably the two important ones. The water quality issue is probably also something that one needs to keep in mind. Then it's good to know that there is some positive things that we do have. And the first of all is I'm seeing some wonderful innovations on the breeding space. So we spoke about hybrid true potato seed. I think that's a nice way of getting new technology into, or new genetic capabilities into seed. This will take a few years, obviously, but there's been some good developments, in particularly some of the African countries. Technologies like CRISPR-Cas, this is looking very exciting. Also long-term technologies, but it's coming. And then another important point that we really need to embrace is the role of our input providers. We've got some great companies in this country. A lot of them are sponsors at our event here, and we really need to make sure that we bring their innovations into the country, because these are tools that our farmers have to be more efficient. And I think what's important to keep in mind is South Africa being a small country in the world, we want to make sure that we have these new innovations together with the bigger countries and to make this available for us. So I think that's probably two big things. Maybe the last one is also support from the Department of Science and Technology through the Technology and Innovation Agency, where they are supporting uses for lower grade potatoes, because we waste a lot of potatoes in this country and we need to find better ways of eating this. And the potato has got a lot of benefits in this. For example, people with allergies on legumes, these type of things, potatoes can fill that gap. So we will be looking at that, and I think that's very exciting support we're getting from that organization.
Potato tuber moth is the most important insect pest of potatoes in South Africa. It's been here, in South Africa for a very long time. It arrived before the 1900s already. So on a year-to-year basis, it differs in importance, and there's many factors influencing that. Firstly, it's very important to monitor the pest, to know when it comes into the fields. You should actually monitor before you plant. Number one prize is good sanitation, so you don't create your own inoculum. So that means take all the old potatoes already infested with tuber moth away before you plant. And then when it's very hot, the generation cycle can be very short, so there's a buildup of these generations and the number of moths over time. Then also, application techniques of insecticides may play a role, and then at the end, low susceptibility may also be important. We evaluated 4 different insecticides in 5 areas in South Africa, including Limpopo, Free State, that's the Eastern and Western Free State, then the Western Cape and also the Northern Cape area, and we found low susceptibility against 3 of the 4 insecticides. The 4th insecticide still will provide really good control, and that insecticide should be protected. That means that we should rotate different mode of actions to keep that insecticide very effective over a long time. Popular is very important for our farmers in South Africa, because then they will know in their area what the susceptibility of that specific insect population will be towards a specific insecticide with a specific mode of action, and they can then decide on their spraying programs which to include and which to keep away for a few seasons if the resistance is not fixed, and also to really protect the insecticides that still provide good control.
Okay, yes, so to say science is quite a broad topic, so I'll break it down step by step. We certainly need a multifaceted approach to the challenges that are ahead of us in the agricultural industry, particularly with potatoes. We have problems coming in from new pathogens and new insect pressure that we're receiving, as well as many of our tools, particularly on the chemical front, are now being systematically taken away from us. So with the candle being burnt on both ends, we really are going to be running into problems in the coming years. The multifaceted approach that I refer to, the first thing is I would like to see South Africa buck the global trend, particularly the European trend, of taking away a lot of the old chemicals that are potentially less profitable for the companies and potentially perceived to be a lot more dangerous, but for us to keep them within our pool of available chemicals in conjunction with new, cleaner, safer chemicals that are busy coming out, so that when we need it, when whatever pathogen or insect is going through its exponential growth rate, we still have the big sticks that we can use to control that, which is the old, particularly organophosphates and carbamates and these type of products, which are extremely good at insect control. So let's develop new safe products that I mean, all us farmers want a sustainable business, that we love our farms, we love our soils, we want to produce a good quality product, so let's use them as much as possible. Let's use the microbial and organic technology that is being developed so rapidly as part of our preventative approach to plant control, to pest control. Getting our plants as healthy as possible, but still in the background to less frequently and only when necessary to be able to use the big guns, as I call them. I think if we approach using these chemicals in the same way that we would in in animal or human health as an antibiotic. It's a method of last resort. It's, the resistance to these things does build up if they're used too frequently and incorrectly. So let's keep them in the background, but not throw the baby out with the bathwater. The next big scientific branch that needs a lot of work and attention is cultivar development. Now, this is an extremely costly and slow and arduous process to breed the new cultivars, develop them commercially, test them, and then to roll them out commercially. That whole process very seldom takes less than 10 years and is normally up to 20 years before it really is a widespread established cultivar in any given country, particularly in South Africa. So there's a lot of new science coming out with different ways of breeding plants and particularly genetically modifying it. This is all great. Potatoes can be very easily bred in conventional manners because of their tetraploidal chromosome structure. You get lots of variety out. We can do this quite comfortably. We just need support from farmers to actually develop these cultivars by planting them and learning their specific idiosyncrasies and finding out that these new cultivars do have solutions to a lot of the problems that are out there and are commonplace to us. We plant commercially 5 to 8 cultivars a year, and then we're trialing an additional 8 to 10 a year as at a minimum, maybe even more than that. The trials vary from size to a single row of a few hundred meters to the half circle type size trials, which we find a little bit more useful as it aggregates the results a bit better than a very small trial. New cultivars is the way that we have in the past and will continue to solve a lot of the problems. The common scab problem was first solved by Mondial, and that became the generic norm for farmers to use to get rid of that single problem. It then created an environment where people could keep planting potatoes on the same fields, and that became the norm. There are new cultivars that are far superior to this for different problems. So common scab is the sort of first hurdle that a new cultivar will have to go over, and then the next one is a more zonal problem that we'll solve, whether it be powdery scab or blight or potentially virus resistance, hopefully one day. These are all things that farmers need to find what the correct solution is for their climatic zone. So yes, we do it passionately because we have found solutions for ourselves, but also for our clients that are purchasing our seed. The return on investment is clear. A lot of new cultivars can have other sort of unforeseen benefits, like a longer shelf life, a whiter, brighter skin potentially. And then obviously the great ones is a high yield, and almost hand in hand with that is a greater pack out percentage, which is what we call the number of potatoes that have no blemishes in, that are really perfect and suitable for regular retail trade.